How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the live stream. Tonight, we're going to be carrying on with development of No Place Like, the open source JavaScript wonderful platformer shooter adventure, possibly RPG game that we've been working on for the last, since January now. Pretty good. Yeah, in tonight's episode, we've got a suggestion from our boy Fubar, and we're going to implement that. We've got, we're going to take a look at getting a proper system in place for handling enemy deaths, as well as perhaps abstracting the enemy logic into a more generic class that we can then extend future enemies from and simplify the process of making those future enemies. Yeah, in theory it'll be like a cakewalk making new enemies once we have all that logic in place. So, without any further ado, let's get on with it and yeah, start building us a game. So, first thing we need is an issue, which I just took the liberty of making for us. So this one, actually not that one, the generic enemy class, we want to first handle undefined elements in the enemy arrays, because this is the issue that was, this is what was causing issues for us before, where we would have an array full of enemies, but the minute we called the destroy function on one of our enemies to kill it, so to speak, remove it from the physics, remove it from everything, it would leave that enemy as an undefined variable within our array of enemies. See, right now when you kill them, they actually still jump around. It's too small to see here, but it is invisible. But even though it's invisible, it's still, you can see it's still jumping around. It's still doing all that stuff, and it can actually still damage us too. See if we get hit. Well, the hit tests are really precise, but yeah, there we go. If we get hit, we lose HP. And yeah, so we're going to make it so that basically you can kill enemies properly without causing the game to error. And yeah, that's step one tonight. So for that, I'm thinking we're going to need to have a rethink on our the system we have in place for creating the enemy arrays / buffers / whatever the correct term for it is. I was just playing around with this last night trying to get the background color to work properly, but I don't think it's gonna have any effect for us here. Just make a new branch for this. Yeah, because we're on master right now. Just make sure I have the latest, which I should, but just to be sure. Alright, up to date, good. So we want to create issue 35, or branch 35 rather, so git checkout Kirk dash 35 dash undefined enemies. Also, I'm just going to make sure I've got the chat right here so I can keep half an eye on that. Oh, holy, I just realized you can... I've got the Twitch dashboard open on my computer and I didn't realize, but you can move things around and have them positioned however you want them to be positioned. That's neato. Wow, that's very neato. Cool, anyways. Don't mind me, I'm just fiddling around with things. Oh, right. That errored because I didn't put the -B flag for new branch. -B. Boom. Switch to new branch, Kirk, undefined enemies. Alright. So we got that working. Now let's just do a quick status, make sure we don't have anything. Yep, we're working on a clean branch. So now we can boot up our dev server by going npm run start. Alright, just give that a minute, and, oh whoops, opened it in my, in the wrong window, and we should be able to reload, and yep, no problem. I'm just going to open up our JavaScript console so that we can see any errors and anything that pops up. And let's get at it. So what we're doing for creating enemies right now is we're making a physics group of them. And then we're passing that group around kind of all over the place at the moment. We're saying it starts as an array in this baddies array right here. It starts as this, and that's in our actual level class, our final level class. So in this case, the Africa camp level. And then after we've created an array of our bad guys, which is what we're doing here by instantiating all these jumper bots, which is the class for our specific enemy we made. Once we have an array full of those, we pass it into the init scene function, which is a function that we've got available to us in our Africa camp level because we're extending our level generic class. That's where the init scene function is defined. So we pass enemies, our array of enemies, into the level class, and then within our level class here in the init scene, we are creating a physics group of them and passing that physics group into our MC Africa class, so that or MC Africa fight class rather, so that we can have collision detection between our bullet emitter and all that fun stuff. So I'm thinking right now, the way to do it is we almost need like a self-cleaning array, if that makes any sense. We need a way to create, for our array to know when it has an undefined enemy in it and remove that enemy from the array. That's one approach of going about it. I think the other approach would be when we kill the enemy, which the logic for that, I believe, is living in the enemy itself. Yeah, is right here. When we kill this enemy, we somehow remove it from the array from here, but I'm not really sure how we would get this logic here communicating with the array. So that's a little bit of a tricky part, but we'll figure it out. There will be a way. Yeah, so alright, let's get at this here. So this is where we're creating our array. Using the spread operator, we're spreading out all the baddies that we defined in here amongst a new array, which is the enemies array, and then, I mean, we could, in theory, just pass in the this.baddies. I don't know why we're not doing that, but whatever. It's not really a big deal. I'm just wondering if there is some way that we can get this logic that lives deep inside of our jumper bot sprite to communicate with our outside logic. Or if there's a state we could put it in that wouldn't result in an undefined variable, but would remove it from the physics and remove, basically destroy it without turning the variable to undefined, would be another potential way of handling it. Although removing the sprite itself from the array would probably be the most performant way of doing this, because that means we would have one less object in our array to iterate over when we're doing things like collision detection and blah blah blah, all that stuff. So let's see. Okay, so you know, I've got a thought. What we could do here is we could say create a new function within our jumper bot and call it is dead, which will return this dot HP less than or equal to 0, or whatever other death conditions we might end up having. And then in fact, we can use this function right away by saying if this dot is dead, and then do whatever we want in there. But the reason we're doing it this way is so that in our, I suppose in here, in our MC Africa fight scene, which to me is still, this is still the wrong place for me to have this logic. I'm not totally psyched on this. I would prefer to see this living somewhere else. But I wonder if there's like a this.scene.remove existing or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, so we've got this. This is where we're damaging our enemy. We're damaging it for 1 hit points worth of damage right here. And what we can do is in this function, we'll say if enemy dot is dead, well, no, but that's not quite gonna work, is it? Well, maybe what we should do is, okay, I'm still kind of just jumping around all over the place here, but instead of having the logic to kill the enemy, oh, here we go. What if we say, okay, I've got a new theory. What if we change this logic so that hopefully that didn't split my stream into 2 pieces, but well, anyways, we'll find out. I just updated the stream info just to make sure the tags were in there. But anyways, if we remove this is dead logic, well, actually the is dead is fine, we can keep that, but we can say, or yeah, keep that, and we'll say damage or kill this, so our function for damaging the robot will now account for killing it as well, so we won't have to have a, yeah, okay, I think this is gonna work. Damage or kill for 1 damage, and change that to damage. Yeah. Damage reduced by damage. Then our enemy.damage or kill, what I'm thinking, can return true or false to say whether or not that enemy is still alive after receiving the damage. So we'll say const enemy, let's just say is dead equals enemy.damage or kill. So we'll say if is dead, then this is where we'll have the logic for removing that enemy who will now be undefined from our array. That's what I'm thinking. Just give me just 1 sec. I'm just gonna grab my phone and blast out a quick Discord message just to see if anyone wants to join us here. Cool. Don't mind me. All right, let's get at this. So if the enemy is dead, we remove that enemy from the array. And for the life of me, I can't quite remember how to do that in JavaScript. I think you have to use splice or something along those lines. So let's see. Remove an element from an array. JavaScript. This is such a newbie thing to look up, but that's okay. We're all noobs at heart. So if we have, so if so we have an index. Oh, it is just array.splice index, and then however many you want to remove from that point, which in our case is just one. So we'll say this dot enemies dot splice I, which we'll get in a second, and then 1. Okay. So we'll just say comma I, which will be our index. And that should remove our enemy from our array if it's dead, which we need to fill in that logic in the damage or kill function. We just have to have this return something, basically. Yeah, so in our if is dead condition, we can say return true, and otherwise, if it makes it through that condition or past that condition without anything going wrong, we'll say return false. Yeah, so that ought to do. And instead of this.setVisible, we can finally say this.destroy, and we shouldn't have any errors. I mean, which is what I always say, but we'll find out in a minute here. Oh, that might kill me. Oh, we still got errors. Okay. Cannot read blocked of undefined in jumperbot.update. Okay, interesting. So it's still running the update function even though we've destroyed it. Oh, right. And I think I know the reasoning for that too. Yeah, cannot read property blocked of undefined. That is in, jumperbot update line 95. It's not the actual line numbers because it's the transpiled version that is the line numbers here. But anyways, so if this, by the way, hi viewer, thanks for joining us. Much appreciated. But anyways, yeah, if this .audio.blocked is down, or .down, so we need a way. So it's still calling that update function, and I think that's because in our Africa camp level, we're still iterating over, so we still have an undefined baddie in this array, which is like, oh yeah, this is why I'm thinking we need like a whole different system for this, but anyways, for now, we'll try and come up with like a band-aid solution and look at refactoring it completely in the future, but what is that band-aid solution going to be? This is the question. I wonder if this is a case for using the phaser like custom event emitter, like saying, oh, baddie whatever died, so now just he doesn't exist, so remove him from all your arrays. Might be worth checking out. Look into that if I can't figure anything out here on the fly. Not totally loving this song. Anyways, let's see. So that the problem is that I think we've removed the enemy from the array of enemies that lives inside of our character. And again, this is why I'm thinking this is like a really janky way of doing it, and we shouldn't do it this way. Having a copy of the array, like yeah. But that means we would also have to remove the bullet emitter to be outside of the enemy array. Or the enemy, wow, sorry, losing all train of thought here. We would have to move the bullet emitter to be outside of our character class and also live within the base level class, which is something we might be able to do. And the reason we have to do it like that is because our death zone function, the enemy collider, this business, is what's responsible for checking the collision detection between our enemies and our bullets, and then, you know, determining whether or not they're dead and all that stuff that we're doing here. I think that actually would solve most of our problems if we could move this logic out of the MC Africa fight class and into the generic level class. Hail 26, if the bad guy dies, do they have a death animation? At the moment, no, but that's something we're definitely going to look at adding, have like an explosion or have them all crumble to pieces or something like that. So yeah, why don't we do that? Let's try and move this bullet emitter. We'll move the bullet emitter first, and then, because it doesn't make sense to me to pass all of our enemies into our character. That seems weird. It should be something that's handled at the level. Yeah, they don't have a death animation yet, but that is something we're going to implement in the future. For now, they're just going to shrink a little bit and then pop out of existence. So yeah, let's see here. We'll say... Okay, yeah, so first things first, we need this logic on the right to be on the left. So map versus main character collisions. Would that be a way of removing them, despawning them after death timer? I don't know. Like having a... I mean, possibly. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting thought. Like... Yeah, if we had like an animation and then had it so at the end of that animation they despawned, it would, like, yeah, I mean, that would work, but the thing is, we're still stuck with the same problem that I have two copies of both, like two copies of the array or the group or whatever, the array that contains all of our enemies, and when they despawn, the variable in that array that held that enemy is turned to undefined instead of just being removed. So we need to remove those undefined elements in the array, because every time we loop over the array to do like collision detection or whatever, it's causing problems because it's trying to do those operations on undefined. Although, you know what, now that I think about it, we could also just, this is a bad solution to this. This is very much a Band-Aid solution, but you know what would work? Is if we just went like this. If we just said, if type of enemy does not equal undefined. So we're basically saying if the enemy is alive, then do all this stuff. Otherwise, don't do none of it. I bet you this would actually work right now. So maybe this will be our Band-Aid solution for this episode, but oh no, still cannot read property hit test of undefined. Funny. Weird, why is it? Yeah, weird. Oh, maybe it's not the enemy that's undefined, but it's the enemy.body that's undefined. Because it no longer has a physics body, which makes sense. So let's try and pwn some of these guys down here. Oh, and now it's triggering that blocked error. Okay, so yeah, now see, this is the problem, is that we would have to do that undefined check really anywhere that we're doing checks for the enemies, which in this case isn't too bad, but I could see something like this spiraling out of hand. And, you know, so yeah, in the jumper bot, we could just wrap everything in a if this dot body, or type of rather, type of this dot body does not equal undefined. I mean, like, I know this is, I get the feeling this is going to work, but this is very much a band-aid solution, and I think this could give us more trouble than it's worth down the line. Let's try it. So there we go. Now we have one baddie gone. Boom, gone. Shrink them a little bit, and then they get wrecked. Boom, done, wrecked. Boom, wrecked. So, you know, I mean, since I am kind of hoping to move on to more exciting things in this live stream, part of me really does want to just leave it there and say job done, but it is kind of a poor solution to the problem, so I'd rather have a better solution than that. But yeah, I mean, for now it might work. Oh, hold on, I just saw a new error that popped up randomly, and it's coming. Yeah, you know what? Nah, this is gonna cause all kinds of. They don't really take damage; they just die on hit. Says Hale26. Yeah, I mean, they don't have very much health right now. That's kind of why. So if we can change that by increasing their max HP to like 50 or something. It was only at 10 before, so if they take 50 shots, they'll get real small. And actually, they're probably going to get too small to. Hang on. They're going to be so small we won't be able to hit them. So in here, we'll make their scale, their size go down a lot slower rather. Okay, so boop. Oh, now I just hit him, so I died. Yeah, there's a few kind of little lingering bugs that we're gonna want to look at fixing here, but there we go. So they shrink, and then finally die. But yeah, but that's the problem. We're still getting like really little phantom bugs from our current not so awesome death system. So I'm thinking it's going to be worth it in the future if we just make a better death system now, because that's going to just, like, I have no idea. This will be somewhere else in the code that's trying to use them, but they're undefined. So that's what I'm saying, that why we need to have a better solution than just saying, if they're undefined, do nothing. But yeah. So, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry guys, this stream might devolve a little bit into like a full-on like technical abstraction stream, which is not what I was hoping for this stream, but sometimes it's necessary. So yeah, get these conditions out of there. This is going to return to our original error, but we need to come up with a better system for this. And I think that better system is going to involve moving the jumper bot, or no, it's not the jumper bot. Sorry, it's the MC Africa fight logic. So moving both the bullet emitter and the enemy's array such that it only lives in the level class and doesn't live in the character at all. Because right now it's like he's in two different places and it doesn't really work. Like we're we're obviously getting problems with managing that array. So yeah, we need this enemies array to live here and never be passed into the character class here. MC in our case just stands for main character, BT dubs. So add our sprite to jump around on them. What? That doesn't even make any sense, but whatever. Okay, so let's see, enemy collide. So I guess let's try and move the bullet emitter out of here first, because that's going to be the slightly more complicated part. Oh, but then we need access to that bullet emitter within our MC Africa class, because in our aim function, we're repositioning it all the time on the fly, using all of our magical trigonometry business. But you know, it would make sense for me to initialize the bullet emitter in the level class, and then handle and pass that bullet emitter into the character array, or the character class rather. That's something that makes kind of sense to pass into the character, is the emitter for its shooting. So yeah, why don't we do that? Let's start by saying, moving this whole junk right out of here. And we'll say, so we create our character class. So let's say, create our character. And create the bullet particle emitter for our character. So this dot bullet emitter, and same thing, although we need access to that bullets object, which we create up here. So we'll say const bullets equals, instead of config.scene, we'll say this dot add particles, because now we're in a different scope. Yeah, and then we need that enemy collider logic to be in here too, which is the hit test for the enemies. In fact, we're not going to need that assignment right there where we're assigned. Oops, we are going to need that brace though. So delete all that. Delete all that. Save that. And okay, now over here, we're going to say like this dot enemy collider. Although I don't even know if we're going to need... I don't think we need to make that a class level thing. That can probably just be a constant. Const enemy collider. We'll say enemy collider. Now, we've already got our enemies array set up right, or it's not an array actually, technically it's a physics group, but anyways, we've got our enemies physics group. Now we should be able to remove it from this instantiation of our character, and we should, I mean, hopefully there's going to be no errors. I guess we'll find out. Yeah, let's try it out and see if there's any errors. I'm thinking we'll be safe. Oh, hold on. One last thing we need to do before we go ahead and do that is we do need to pass this bullet emitter into our character when we instantiate it. So we're actually going to have to create our character after creating his bullet emitter. Like this. And then pass in bullet emitter is this dot bullet emitter. And the reason we have to do that is because within our class we have a function called aim, which is how we're aiming our arm and gun to point at the mouse, and in that function we're repositioning the bullet emitter in the X and Y space, so we need to handle that as well. So where we're setting up all of the character variables, we'll say this dot bullet emitter, none of the offsets, bullet emitter equals config dot bullet emitter. Now we should be good to go. Save all this and see if it errors. It does. So let's see, bullets is not defined at MC Africa 131. Oh, sure, okay. Well, that's fine. I don't think we need that really, so let's just comment out that line and see if we're still golden. Config is not defined? What? Oh. Oh, Africa camp level dot init scene level line 86. Oh, right. Okay. Right. Okay, that's... I mean, I guess we can just initialize it at like 0, 0. That's no harm in that, really. Because it gets moved the minute the player clicks the mouse, it's going to be moved. So, okay, so this dot enemies dot for each is not a function. That's coming from level. So, line. Oops. Now that's a little bit confusing to me because right here you can see we're initializing this dot enemies, although it's saying underscore this dot enemies, which is kind of funny. That's Webpack transpiling our code for us. Maybe we need to specify the context? I don't know. Let's take a look. Right. Yeah, this could just be a problem of context, and I'm pretty sure Phaser has a way of specifying the context. Yeah, let's take a look. I'm pretty sure I saw this when we were digging around the other day. So let's see, this is Death Zone. We want to say Phaser 3 Death Zone context. Although, you know what I just realized is that this could all be because we changed some, yeah, we did change, we made this a constant instead of saying this dot. So why don't we just say leave it as this dot, and this might solve all our problems. This dot enemy collider, and right here, this dot enemy collider. This might just solve that problem right away. Nope, still getting the same error. Okay, that's funny. It's really irritating that it adds that underscore, because if it didn't add that underscore, I think it would work fine, but okay, well, fine. It's doing that for whatever reason, so just want to try one thing. If we try the bind function, would that maybe work? Bind is not a function. Okay. Alright, fine, whatever. Let's keep looking then for a way to do this in Phaser. It must include context, so I feel like this is going a little too deep into it. Let's see. It's just weird to me that it throws an error when we're doing it in the level class, but it didn't throw an error when we were doing it in the character class. Because to my mind, we're doing the same thing, but... Okay, so phaser 3, I'm just going to look up context and see what happens. No, that was way too general. That's not going to get us anything. Create emitter. Okay, come on. We can figure this out. What if just for now we comment this out and see if everything else works otherwise? Oh, no. Oh, this for each isn't working either. Okay, let's just see what it thinks this dot enemies is, because for some reason it... Yeah, that's funny to me. Just for like the sake of my sanity, make sure I'm actually spelling it the same way. Yes, I am. Okay. Let's just console log this dot enemies. I saw it. It's a physics group. What were we passing into? Oh, I think I just realized what's going on here. We were passing... where's the removed lines? Changed here, maybe? Yeah. Yes, I see the problem now. We were just passing in the straight array of enemies, whereas we've now created the this.enemies physics group, which isn't exactly what, it's a little different, but I think the trick here is we just have to say, what is it, list? Or children, maybe. Yeah, I think if we just say .children and iterate over those instead of... Yeah, so .children, .for each, and... same down here, or not actually there, we'll say same in... Where is it? Well, let's just see what that does. Enemies.children level, line 71. No, that doesn't work either. Okay. Or, I guess the other way of doing it is just doing it the same way we were doing it before, but... Yeah, I mean, just do it the same way we were doing it before. So not enemies.children, not this dot, but just enemies. Because we have access to that variable still, which is just an array of our enemies. So might as well just use it still while we have access to it. And I want to try just saying const still instead of this dot. So that's not really something I don't think we're going to need to keep track of later. Okay, so cannot read property for each of undefined still. But now it's in MC Africa fight. Okay, yes, so that's fair. That's because, yeah, we're doing the collision detection in, yeah, see, this is this is weird. I wasn't enjoying this about our code before. I wasn't liking the fact that we had our enemy collision detection code living inside of our character. That was wacky to me. So, save that. And I'm gonna do this a new way, actually. I'm gonna say this, or let's call it update scene. So we'll have an init scene, update scene, and for our update scene, we'll say, okay, so we are gonna have to have access to that enemy's array. So I want to figure out a way to do this without referencing the original array. I want to say let's say const, or no, this dot enemies are enemies is that's the physics group, so we'll say enemies group, and we'll say this dot enemies array equals enemies. Still just wondering if this is going to result in us having to deal with, like, manage it in two places, but might not. So let's see. Right. Or, you know what? No, hang on. Let's do this, what I think would be the actual right way to do it, which is still using it this dot in here, but instead of saying this dot enemies, say this dot enemies dot children dot something. I know this is going to error, but let's just console log enemies one more time. Or, sorry, not enemies, this dot enemies, the group. It's gonna throw errors, yep, we know that. But our physics group is what we're interested in seeing here. There is no, I'm not seeing a list property that we can access, which is kind of a drag. But there is children. Children, and then entries, I guess, so just children.entries, and that's the array that we can then loop over. So yeah, whatever, let's just do it that way. So we'll say this.enemies.children.entries. Makes it a little bit long, but it should in theory work. And we're going to need to do the same thing in our update scene function. We'll say this.enemies.children.entries for each, and then in our yeah, this is getting a little messy too now. We're kind of got a weird mix of logic, but we'll just say where we're saying this.mc.update, we'll say this.update scene. Okay, so let's try that. Nope, still no. Cannot read hit test of undefined. Oh, right, because that logic came from our MC, so we need to now say this.mc.hitTest. Enemy, yeah, let's try that. Oh, Lord. Errors on errors on errors. When is this going to end? This.mc.hitTest is not a function. Awesome. Okay, so then what do you think this.mc is? It thinks it's the right thing, so why does it not work? Oh, did I delete body as well? That might have been it. Control Z. Yes, I did. My bad. So we'll say this.mc.body.hitTest. That should do the trick. And finally, no errors. Whew. So let's see if everything still works with our new logic in place. I'm seeing them getting smaller when we shoot them, and yeah, we can shoot them until they die and then the death throws an error still, but we haven't actually handled our array splicing yet, so that's not totally freaking me out. Whew. Okay. Actually, let's look up the proper way in Phaser 3 to remove something from a physics group. Phaser 3 physics group remove. Groups remove, yeah, that's what we want. This is version 2, but we can probably still use something from this. Probably understand what this example is doing. Drop here to remove item from the group. Okay, so. Okay. Oh, drop handler, here you go. Items dot remove item. Okay. So hopefully we can just go like this. Let's see. Enemies dot, yes, this is where we want to do it. So const is dead equals enemy dot damage or kill, and if is dead, this dot enemies dot remove. And we want to remove our, hopefully we can just pass in our enemy variable. Hopefully this will work. Let's give that a try. Oh, just make sure our jumper bot still has, yeah, he's still returning true when he dies. Okay, cool. So let's try this. Okay, so cannot read property blocked of undefined. So we still have an undefined frickin' sprite in our array somewhere, or in our group or whatever. Oh, it's in jumper bot. So why is it still checking if we're destroying it? Shouldn't destroy, like, stop all the update functions from running? That's what I would expect. Just look at the docs for Phaser 3 destroy. Yeah, destroy sprite. Destroy / kill a sprite. Just to say that I worked on, okay. Okay, yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to destroy sprites, so let's take a look at the source code. I mean, I guess worst case scenario, we could always just set them to be active and, yeah. Because, like, there is, oh, sorry, Hail 26. Does this have to be done for each level, or is it possible to reuse it? Or better yet, this is just the first level. No, this doesn't have to be, like, we're going to be reusing this logic. That's the whole point. That's the whole goal of this, is to have our code to be as modular and reusable as possible. So when we actually start making levels, it'll be really simple, and you just swap out configuration stuff and all that, and then you can just create levels on the fly really easily. But getting all that stuff to work at the beginning is always going to be a bit tricky, but the most development overhead is right at the start for us. So once we get through this, it'll be a cakewalk making the rest. Well, hopefully it'll be a cakewalk making the rest of the game. I should say that with a little bit of trepidation, perhaps. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe the best way to go about this is just to set the active and visible states of the sprite to be false, like this guy's doing. It's not ideal, but like that way we're not going to have undefined references to these sprites, and like because that like and it should stop the update. Or hold on, better yet, why don't we try something else in our jumper bot? Why don't we just do all of those things? So we're going to say this dot set active false, and then this dot destroy as well. Because maybe setting active to false will stop it from triggering its update loop, hopefully. Now it's still trying to check for block. What the hell? It's forcing you to unregister the destroyed, I think. Yeah, well, exactly, because like it's still trying to check for stuff on. It's still running the update loop of the robot, even though we've destroyed it, which is very irritating. I've seen it in Python where you have to remove something, but yet you still have it in memory. Yeah, that's pretty much what's going on right here. It still exists in memory, but now it's undefined. So why don't... Yeah, as much as this is a silly way of doing it, we'll just make it invisible and inactive. We're not going to use that destroy function at all. And then it kind of just falls off the map, but like it works effectively. And I mean, in the final game, you're not going to actually see the physics boxes of anything, so it would work, but yeah, still, it's not the best way of doing it, but it's the only way that it'll work without, well, it's probably not the only way it'll work without errors, but like, I just can't, this is driving me crazy. I can't figure this out right now, so. And it does bother me because, like you said, Hail26, it is still going to be in memory. So, like, if we were to have lots and lots and lots of enemies, sure, they're not active, so no physics is being applied to them, and they're invisible, so nothing's being rendered, but they are still technically in memory, so it's not the best, like, the most, that's not the best, most optimized solution. The children can't die because the parent's still there? I'm not sure. Whoa, yo, Nano here, raiding with a party of 5. Cool. What's up, Samuel Ogren? But yeah, just Hail26. The children can't die. Maybe. I'm not sure. Nano raid, nano raid, nano raid. Oh, man. Yeah, I think for now, this is just going to have to be our solution, you know? We'll get a better solution going in the future, but for now, that's effectively a way to kill them. Boom, dead. Boom, dead. Boom, dead. Boom, almost dead. Boom, dead. And I think they can't hit us either when they're deactivated like that. Let's just test that really quick. Get him above us, then shoot him. Oh, I missed. What am I working on, says Nano Hero. Yeah, basically Hail 26. That is the feels right now. Right now we're just trying to get it so that these bouncy robot guys die properly when we shoot them, because at the moment they don't really die. Like, they die, but you can see, watch, if I shoot one of them, he'll turn into an invisible box and just fall off the map instead of just like disappearing. We want it to just disappear, but right now he's just falling through the map and that's about it. So yeah, but anyway, I mean, it's not the best solution, but it works for now, I guess. We can optimize this later, you know. So yeah, let's just let's carry on. Let's move on to something a little bit more exciting. That's not. We've got a band-aid solution for this, so let's just commit this and move on. All right. Bullet emitter. Yep. Okay. Cool. That's all good to me. Add all those. Commit them. And this is issue number 35 now. But Nano Hero, this is we're working on a the game we're working on is a open source JavaScript platformer shooter adventure thing. So it's kind of a game that like we're working on now, but anybody is welcome to work on. So if any of all y'all are programmers, feel free to take a look at the source code and do what you want and put in a pull request, and if it's all good, I'll merge it in. So I'll just call this Band-Aid solution to undefined baddies. Ship it. What branch is this again? This is, yeah. Push, origin, Kirk. 35, undefined enemies. Boom. Samuel says programming is like wizardry to you. Fair enough, man. But it is though, isn't it? That's what makes it so fun. It's like the magic of our day. Because you can make anything with it, right? That's what's so cool about it. It's like, if you can dream it up, you can pretty much make it. If you can imagine a way that it would work, then you can tell the computer do that, and then it'll work. Anyways, let's see. So, cool. So let's just merge that in real quick. Just make sure that showed up. Yep. Cool, and we'll merge that pull request in, or make a pull request and merge it in. That's why devs are fucking wizards. It's insane. That's funny. Let's just say ship it. This is my favorite emoji on GitHub. It's the ship it emoji. You think it's crazy cool even if you don't get it. Well, yo, look, if you ever want to learn, Samuel, I'm starting to write tutorials on all the stuff that I'm doing for this. Thanks, man. You got huge respect for indie devs. That's rad. But yeah, I'm starting to write tutorials on how to do all this stuff, and I'm starting at like the very beginning. So it's going to take me a while just because I'm a one-man operation and I have to maybe work at a gas station and all this stuff to support all this. But the point is, tutorials are coming, so if you ever want to get involved and like take some time to figure it all out, I'm happy to help. Hit me up on here or on our Discord channel anytime, and I'll definitely I'll help you out. Anyways, yeah, that's all looking good. All the tests passed, so we're good to go. Confirm the merge, and So if you guys head over to this URL, maybe wait like 2 or 3 minutes and then go to that URL that I just dropped in the chat, and you should be able to test the what we just changed there. You should be able to play around and test the live demo and see if it works on your guys' computers or phones or whatever as well. Because yeah, this game's, yeah, nice, man. Sweet. Yeah, anyway. So let's see, what should we do next? Oh man, so the game Nano Hero, you asked what the game's about. It's like a platformer shooter game that takes place in the future, and the way I'm describing it in like the TLDR version is it's pretty much like Contra meets Heli Attack, if you ever played that Flash game, meets Shadow of the Colossus. Eventually, we haven't gotten to coding that system yet, but what it's gonna be is it's gonna be like you're a little dude running around with a shooter with a gun, and you take out all these little mini robots, but also there's going to be these giant robots walking around, and it's just going to look like a big foot coming into the scene, and just like if you get hit by it, you get crushed. But the foot's going to come down, and you can jump on the robot and sort of climb up these giant robots and take them out in some kind of like special way. The robot itself is almost going to be like a little mini level, is the idea. That's the plan. So basically it's a giant robots versus humans war. But I wrote up a little story about it in the README on the GitHub page, so you're welcome to check out the story there. I would read it, but it's kind of long, so I'm just going to keep working on the development. But yeah, take a look at that whenever you get a chance, and that describes the story, or the initial plot, anyways. So we've got some other stuff. We can make a generic enemy class. Oh right, I'll close this out for now, but Band-Aid solution in place. Closing comment, cool. So, thanks Nano Hero. Sounds cool. I hope so. And the whole point is this game is like, we've been working on it since January. And the whole point of this game is that it's an open source game, so that if anybody else is a developer, they're totally welcome to like come into this game and like work on it as well. And you know, it's something you could like put on your resume that you've worked on an open source game, or like all kinds of stuff. Leave your mark kind of thing on the game. And yeah, you create a version of the game on your own repository, or in your own account, sorry, and then make whatever changes you want. And if it's all good and you're happy with it, you so it's going to be a never-ending game, says Nano Hero. Sort of, not exactly. I'm hoping to move on to other games in the future, but this is just the first of many open source games that I'm hoping to create. That's kind of the idea. It is probably going to take us a while to get through this one game, though. I'm anticipating no less than a year. So anyways, disable shooting during initial fall after spawning was a request from our boy Fubar. Oh, and Samuel Organ and Nano Hero, shout out for the follows. I just noticed that. Thanks, guys. What made me go the open source route? Well, to be honest, man, like, I've just used so much open source technology in my own career and like just throughout the course of my life that I just really wanted to like make something that gives back to that world. And just the whole fact that like keeping your source code all closed off and like hidden from the public is just something that like doesn't jive very well with me. I think that like if you're making cool innovations and you're making improvements, Hail26 says because open source rules. Basically that, yeah. Like if you're making all these improvements that other people can use in creative ways, then like why would you not share that, right? Like sure, like maybe you're not going to be ahead in the market for like creating, like making money off this stuff, but like my goal isn't here. I'm not here to make a lot of money. My goal is just to My goal is just simply to make cool stuff and money. Yeah, Drazzer, money. No, but really, I want to make enough to live, and if I can do this 24/7, that's all I ask for. That's all I care about. If I can just work on my games 40 hours a week, Monday to Friday, I'm as happy as can be. Just because you can't make money doesn't mean others can't. Yeah, true. That's true. But I mean, if someone does want to like take this game and like try and sell it, it's like, why would anybody want to play their version when there's a free version that's also online? You know what I mean? Like, it would take like one tweet to just be like, to like kind of derail their version if they're trying to sell it. A lot of open source has gone the route of donations. Yeah. I've got a Patreon page that will probably show up somewhere in the corner there that I'm trying to get my community involved with. That's how I'm trying to monetize and like make enough money to live, basically. Like, Arger still wants $1 for a download. Ardour. Who's Ardour? I'll open source my butthole for $5, says Drazzer. I mean, you do what you do, you man. Anyway, that's my rant on why I'm doing it open source. I probably butchered it a little bit, but that's in general why. So I don't know, what do you guys want to work on? Should we... That's probably not going to be super exciting to watch, making a generic enemy class, although it will help us out hugely in the future. Arjur is the... Ooh, okay, right. See, I need to learn more about the history of this whole world and stuff. I basically know Linus, and I know the dude who has really long hair who created the GNU license. That guy. I know about him too, but that's pretty much all I know about. So, yeah, I really need to get on learning about these guys because, yeah, I mean, they're responsible for this whole world, so kind of got to give them props for that. Yeah, why don't we disable the shooting during the initial fall after spawning? Because right now, what happens is if we reload... Oh, hold on. If we boot up our server, and if we reload our game... Well, it'll open itself up in a second here, but I want to have our console, so close that, reload that. So if you can see we can shoot the guy while we're falling, and that's kind of like no fair to our enemies. So yeah, I think it makes sense for us to disable that shooting just during the initial fall, and that'd be pretty easy to do. So why don't we do that? Let's champion this one for now. So I'll assign that to myself, and we'll go create a new branch. So we're still on our other branch, so we'll say checkout master, pull from master, so that we have the latest pull request that we just did on our local machine. Then check out a new branch. Let's call it Kirk-30, what is it now? 37. Oops. Kirk-37 spawn shooting. How about spawn shooting? Cool. So now we're on a new branch, all is well. We don't have any outstanding changes because we just committed everything, so npm run start. That'll boot up our developer server. Welcome, new viewers, by the way. I'm amazed there's a lot of you now. We're just working on our open source game and having a great old time. So that's what we're going to be disabling, is making it so we can't shoot them when we fall initially. So I think this logic makes sense to live within our character class. So let's just make all that one screen again. And it'll be easy enough. We'll just say in our constructor, which is effectively our create function, we'll just say something like this. We'll say if, or not if, sorry, we'll initialize shoot lock, something like that, equals true. So init the character with shooting disabled. Now we have to actually implement that so that when that's true, we can't shoot. So let's say, where we just have to find the shooting logic real quick, which is here, the bullet emitter start and stop. And we have it in two places because we've got both touchscreen and mouse controls. But basically all we have to do is add something to this condition. We say if both pointers down and this dot shoot lock, but not if it's true. We'll say if it's false. So if shoot lock is false and both pointers are down, start shooting. And same with mouse pointer. We'll say if mouse pointer is down and shoot lock is false, this dot shoot lock, I mean. If this dot shoot lock is false, then we can shoot. So now this should have, if everything works correctly, we should have disabled shooting altogether, which we have. I'm clicking and there is no shooting. Everything else still works the same, and we can aim and all that, but we can't shoot. So to re-enable shoot lock once we hit the ground, all we're going to have to do is just if we're touching the ground, which we actually already have a condition for right here, but I think we'll create a new condition up at the start just to separate it a little bit. We'll say if this dot shoot lock and touching ground, then we'll just say this dot shoot lock equals false. So now, when we fall initially, can't shoot, shooting doesn't work, but the minute we touch the ground, we can shoot, and if we jump, we can still shoot. So, yep, that was pretty easy. Bam, and we can take out our bad guys. Bam, take out our bad guys. Bam, take out our bad guys. This looks so complicated, says Samuel. You know, man, honestly, like, it's all stuff that, like, just came from my own head, so it's only as complicated as I've made it, which is a relief, because I don't think I'm a particularly smart dude, so, you know, it's only as complicated as I make it. Anyways, boom, shot that guy out of the sky, and yeah. Cool, so, let's get that online so you guys can play around with that. Not that that's much to play around with, but anyways, the point is we have to get it online to close out the issue, so we'll say get status, and that's the only file we modified, so take a look at what we changed. And we added the shoot lock and the condition to set it to false, and then we added it to our two conditions where we're starting to shoot. So that's good. So we'll say get add all to get to stage everything. And if we do another status, we can see our file is staged. So get commit -m for message, and we'll reference issue number 37. So we'll say 37 disables shooting on initial fall after spawn. Boom, just like that. Now that's committed locally. Let's push it online to a new branch. So check what branch we're on, and we are on the right branch. So we'll say git push origin kirk-37-spawn-shooting. Give that a second, and now it's online, just like that. And if we refresh the page, there it is. Disable shooting after initials, blah blah. Those are all the changes we made. And head back to the home page of the repository, and I'm going to create a pull request and merge this into master. So then it'll deploy and you guys are going to be able to try it. So we'll just say this one was pretty straightforward. One file or whatever. This one was pretty straightforward. Good enough. Ship it. Ship it. Love that emoji. Boom. This one was pretty straightforward. Has no conflicts with the base branch, which is good. Merging, doing conflict resolution is kind of a jerk sometimes. It kind of sucks. But just give these automated tests a second to do their thing. And in the meantime, we'll say status. So we got nothing working. So check out master again. And once we merge this pull request in, we have to pull from master. So we have the latest local version of master on our machine. All right, cool. 1 in progress, 3 neutral, 1 successful. We just need to wait for that 1 in progress to work, the mixed content, whatever that means. These are just automated tests that Netlify set up. I didn't actually set these up, so not too sure what they're doing, but if it takes much longer, we'll just merge it in anyways. I'm sure it'll still work. Oh, is it successful? Oh, it is. Okay, cool. Confirm the merge. Cool. Pull request successfully merged and closed. I should probably start pruning these branches, but whatever. For now, we'll just leave it. So yeah, we just have to go git pull origin master to get those changes on our local machine. As you can see, it added some lines, took a couple away. And from there, we can make a new, well, I guess we have to decide what we're working on next. Would be a good idea. So, oh, this is fine. We can close this out now because this is done. Done skis. Close and comment. Boom. Issue done. So, yeah. I mean, the next thing I had up on the agenda was creating a generic enemy class, but I feel like that's not going to be super fun for you guys to watch because that's going to be a lot of like internal refactoring. But if you guys are down to go that route, I'd be happy to, because this is going to help us out tremendously in future, like when we start creating more enemies and having more diversity to our different types of enemies. Having some initial like base functionality that we can extend from is going to be huge. It's just going to help us out so much. It's going to be like a night and day developer experience. Why don't we say, how about we say generic enemy class and we can create a new enemy at the same time? Ben Halverson says, hello. What's up, hello? Extends, says Hale26. All right, man. Yeah, let's do it then. Why don't we do 2 issues at the same time? We'll say create a new type of small enemy. I'm calling these small enemies because the big enemies are going to be the giant robots that you fight, but the small enemies are just going to be like your regular enemies from games. So create a new type of small enemy, and yeah, I don't know. We'll just say that. Dream up and code a new, or dream up, draw and code a new enemy. Petite enemy class A. Sure. Something like that. I don't know. That's the idea. Oh, whoops. I haven't been putting any of these I haven't been labeling any of these or putting them in the right project. I just noticed that. I'm bad. But whatever. That's fine. Now it's in there. So we'll create a new type of small enemy and we'll create a generic enemy class. So I'll assign that to myself and give it labels. Enhancement, this should be refactor. Code needs to be better. Yeah. Alright, so for our generic enemy class, this is going to be fun. This is going to be, well, fun for me, but that's because I'm a huge dork. So we're not going to be bothered with our level. We're not going to be bothered with any of these files, actually. So we can just close out all of those and start making something new. So we've got good guys and bad guys, and we'll create a new folder within bad guys, and we'll call this base, which is going to contain any base classes we might have. Or actually, rather, instead of putting it in the bad guys one, why don't we put it in the NPC one? Or, you know what, we already have a base class right here, our base folder in our sprites class, so that's fine. So I think first things first is we'll create a non-playable character class, which will do not a whole lot. Or, you know what, that might not be the way to go for this. I think the way to go for this is we'll just create an enemy.js class. And we'll say, just dive right into it. We'll get that open, and we'll also open up our existing JumperBot class. Because right now, as you can see, the JumperBot is extending GameObjects.sprite. But what we're going to do is eventually our JumperBot enemy is going to be extending the enemy class that we create, which is going to give it an extra layer of, functionality and what have you on top of the sprite class that we're currently extending. So first things first is we're going to say import game objects from phaser. Then we're going to destruct the sprite class from the game object, or class rather. And then we're going to create our new class. So class enemy extends sprite. Although in the future we might look at extending container instead of sprite, so that we can have multiple sprites within a single sprite. Because that's what we did to get our character working, so that his arm was a separate sprite to his body, if that makes sense, and his gun and all that stuff, yada yada. And we just want to export default, our new class, so that we can import it elsewhere. Now we're going to have a constructor, which is going to take some configuration. And that's really going to be the main function of this bad boy. So the start of this is actually going to be much the same as what we have in our JumperBot already, but we're going to make this more generic, so it's not specific to a JumperBot bad guy, it's specific to just a general enemy. So all this is going to be the same. However, soon after is where the differences are going to start appearing. So what we're doing now is we're supering some of our configuration, which means we're passing some of this configuration into the sprite class, which we are extending when we instantiate. So the first difference is we're going to say this.set texture, but instead of setting it to jump blaster, we're going to set it to config.texture. So that way we can already change the texture of our class, our enemy class, and have it all be good. And yeah, basically the rest is all going to be... Yeah, I mean, really right now all we need is it to just be a basic sprite that can take... I suppose taking damage would be a function that we want, so yeah, let's make the damage and health system work here as well. So we'll say this.max HP equals, let's say config.max HP, and then this.HP equals this.max HP. So we initialize it with full health. And then we can say damage or kill however much damage we're doing, this dot HP minus equals damage, and we'll have another function which, same as how we're doing here, we'll have another function called is dead. So we'll say is dead is a function, and it'll return if any of our death conditions are true. So in this case, our only death condition is just going to be, our baseline death condition is going to be if this dot HP is less than or equal to 0. Again, same as our jumper bot. So at this point, we could say, we could just copy this over and say job done, but I want to take this a little bit further and start to make it a little bit more dynamic. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to have a function that defaults to doing this, which is going to say, we'll call it like this dot, I don't know, die or something. And in our die function, we'll say these things that we're currently saying. This is just the generic die function. However, the whole idea with this die function is that it can be overridden by by whatever else that we like, any other behavior we want to happen when the jumper bot dies, or whatever enemy dies, is what we will override in here. This is just the default die function. So basically we'll just jack the rest of this code, put it in our new class, and we'll just say this dot die if it dies. And then we should be able to remove damage or kill, all this stuff out of here. Jump is going to remain in the jumper bot class, same with jump random and its update function, because those things are specific to the jumper bot. They're not specific to every enemy, because we're going to have enemies that can jump, enemies that can't jump, etc. But yeah, so now we should be safe to go change our import statement to say import enemy from ... base / enemy. And then instead of extending the sprite class, we're going to extend the enemy class, which is our new class. And we're going to have to change some things in here. So the HP no longer lives in our enemy class, nor does setting the texture, although I'm going to just comment that out because we're going to need that key for later. In fact, this super function, none of this is going to be in here. So what is going to be in here is our new super is going to take some configuration, and we're going to say a few things in here. So first of all is the scene. So we need the scene to be config.scene, which is coming into our jumper bot. And then we need an X and Y position, which again, we're just going to be passing straight through from our config. So we'll say, actually, you know what? Make our lives a little bit easier, make use of some fancy new JavaScript functionality. We'll just use the spread operator on our existing config and spread all the keys and values into our new config. So ... config, and then we can pass in our new stuff, which is going to be our texture. And in this case, we'll say jump blaster, which is what we were setting down here with the set texture function. Then we're going to pass in a max HP of, what was it? Let's see. What did we have it set to before? It was 50. Yeah, so 50. Let's say 50 for our max HP. We don't have to pass in the current HP. And yeah, in theory, this might just work if we get lucky. Let's try it. Oh, probably help if we had our dev server running. Excuse me. Let's see. Just make sure we're on the branch, correct, as we should be. I think we are. Oh no, we're on master. Okay, my bad. So check out a new branch, and we'll call this branch Kirk -36 generic enemy class. Cool. Now we can run npm run start, and that'll boot up our dev server. It's going to open in a new tab, but I'm going to reload this tab because I like having the JavaScript console open, and like that, and just like that. Look at that, our enemies still work, and they're jumping around just like they were before, and they're still killable. Well, our sort of pseudo bummer version of killing them, which just disables them and makes them fall off the map, basically. But point is, we can still shoot them. They still jump around. Oh, they're not damaging us anymore, so that's a glitch. But let's just fix that after this too. But yeah, all is well. So that's what I mean when I was saying that probably wasn't going to be a super exciting thing to watch me do, because there's no real change to our game. It just behind the scenes is now better organized. So I'm happy to commit that, and maybe we'll make a new issue for that bug where it's no longer hurting us, and we can tackle that in this stream as well. But why don't we make a new enemy next, because that'll be kind of fun. So we've done some boring stuff, now some dry stuff, now we can move on to some fun stuff. So let's say Control-C, get status, and get diff on the jumper bot. And this is just the difference, aka what we changed in our file. And yeah, so now we're importing enemy, we're extending enemy instead. Our super function is passing in all of the configuration that was passed into our jumper bot, plus the texture and the max HP. We took away the max HP and HP from the jumper bot because that no longer needs to be in there. We removed our damage or kill function because that now lives in our base class, and that's all we did. So get add all, stage everything, and commit. What issue is this? This is number 36. So 36 abstract base enemy, or that probably doesn't need to be capitalized, enemy logic into its own class. And we're on the right branch, so push origin Kirk-36 generic enemy class. Boom. Good show. So now that made a new branch in our repository. Let's check it out. Good. Less than a minute ago. Compare and pull request. Okay. Okay, hand. Okay, man. Okay, woman. And ship it, squirrel. Just a mess of emojis. It's fine. Let those tests run, and hopefully they don't get stuck. But in the meantime, we'll check out, or just do a status, make sure we didn't miss anything. We're good. Check out master. Give this a minute, and we'll pull from master as soon as we merge everything in. Shout out for the follow, Ben Halverson. Sorry if that was a while ago, but thank you very much. I much appreciate that. I'll be right back. I'm just going to grab some water while those tests are running. I'll be just a second. Water and or coffee. Oh, okay, they passed. Well, okay, they passed, so let's just merge it in and I'll get water later. All right. That's good. That's good. All is well. pull origin master. No problem, says Ben Halverson. Right on, man. Cool, so we'll get the latest master on our machine, and now I'm gonna grab water. I'll be 1 sec. All right, cool. Let's keep at this. Wrong headphones are wrong. There we go. All right. So yeah, why don't we create a new type of small enemy for now? That'd be a fun thing to do. I feel like I've done enough dry stuff on this stream, so it'd be cool to get into something a little more exciting. So let's check out a new branch for this. We pulled, right, from master? I think I just did that, but just be double sure. And already up to date, cool. So check out new branch, and we'll call it Kirk-40 for issue 40. And we'll say, let's call it enemy 2. Excuse me. I used to have a lapel mic when I was doing this, and anytime I coughed, I was so like worried about deafening you guys. But let's say, yeah, so switch to new branch, Kirk 40, enemy 2, decent. And we'll say npm run start to boot up our dev server. And we'll just, don't really need these anymore. All right, so what should our new enemy be? Which mic do I use now? You're using the Blue Yeti, says Halverson. Ben Halverson. At the moment, I bought like a kind of cheap webcam, and I'm just using the microphone for that. That's sitting over here on my desk. And it seems actually to be working pretty well. It would be ideal to have the microphone positioned a little bit closer to me over here, I feel like. But I mean, I haven't had many or any complaints, so I think it's okay for now. And when I get a little bit more money in the stream, I can invest in some better equipment. Yeah, closer is usually better, says Ben Halverson. For sure, man. Sounds fine though. Good. I'm glad to hear that. I have heard those Blue Yetis are good value for money though. So what do we want our new... Wow, that's coffee all over my desk. Just a moment. Never get an omnidirectional, says Hale26. What is an omnidirectional mic? I don't know. I'm not much of a sound technician. I don't know really much about these things. What does omnidirectional mean? Like multi-directional? Multiple directions, I guess? It means it picks up everything, all the noise, instead of one that is unidirectional that just picks up when you speak into it. Interesting. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that does sound like it wouldn't be super good for streaming. I'm sure it has its applications somewhere, but... So what do we want our new sprite to look like? What should it be? Our new, not new sprite, our new bad guy. What are you guys thinking? Sigma Heavy Industries says different mic designs have different levels of effectiveness over direction and distance. Makes sense? Makes sense. So I was using that brush before, and I believe I had a size 10. So let's take a look at that. That looks pretty good to me. So, oh, hey Fubar, what's up? We just finished merging in your change request, buddy. So now, see, can't shoot when you're falling. Now you can. How is Phaser doing for you? You're working with Pixie.js. Yeah, that's sick, man. I did a little bit of work with Pixie.js in the past too. Phaser is solid because it gives you like some extra like layers of functionality that are more specific to games over Pixie, where I find Pixie is more just like pure graphical rendering. There's no physics engines, there's no like tile mapping system as far as I know, and stuff like that. And I think both have their place. Like if you were creating something that had like no requirements for any kind of like generic functionality, that was like generic game functionality, I think the way to go would be Pixie. Like if you were making something totally unique and like didn't follow anything that's already been done, it makes sense to use Pixie. But if you're creating a game that already follows like certain game development patterns and like using things like physics or like, you know, tile maps or whatever, I think Phaser is the way to go, personally. And Fubar says, what up? Yeah, man, not much. Just still cracking away at some development on our game, our open source game here. We've got a fair bit more working now. We've got a slightly improved robot death system where you shoot them enough times and they just kind of fall off the map. They turn invisible and fall off the map. Yeah, and we're creating a new enemy now is what we're doing now. So anyways, yeah, with that, what should our new enemy be? What do you guys think? Should it be something that shoots at us? Should it be something that just roams around the map and damages us if we hit it? Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking maybe something with like a little rotating wheel, and that could give us a cool opportunity to extend the container class instead of the sprite class for our enemies. Exploding enemy of doom. All right, so like you run into it and it blows up kind of thing, or shoot it and it blows up. I'm into that. I tried the demo. You ran into the purple thing and you think it killed me. Probably, yeah. It's a little. There's a little bit of bugginess with that right now. It should jump and bounce off of you, and then take away 1 health. And if you get hit 5 times, then you die, and it restarts the scene. But there's quite possibly a bug there right now. So Sigma Heavy Industries, don't. It'll probably be better in the future. So yeah, let's see what our. This is kind of. I was thinking, or maybe for the sake of simplicity, we'll just make our new enemy something like this. And it's okay if the lines are a little curvy and dinged up, because it just makes him look like he's curvy and dinged up. But I was thinking, have a little spiky wheel guy. Something like this. Not quite. Not quite. Do you know 2 dimensions about flare? Try it later. Sure, I'll try that. Starlet of Doom with spinners in the center. Starlet of Doom. What would a Starlet of Doom look like? Like, are you talking like this with spinners in the center? Or like... Because I was thinking this could just be like a basic, like, rotating, like, little bomb character that just roams around the map and can climb up walls and stuff, and if it hits you, then that's game over. It blows you up in one go. Or does just, like, a lot of damage, I don't know. Yeah, Death of Donut. That's a good... I like that. Death Donut. Let's call him the Death Donut. Getting these spikes to actually line up properly is a challenge. There we go. It would be overcomplicated, but if they could yo-yo from the ceiling... Interesting. So like, almost like the spiders in Zelda 2, where they like come down and then come back up. Is that what you're thinking, Hale 26? Some of them drop down, some you just dodge. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that could be cool. Yeah, that'd be neat. So like, as in like they just fall like from the sky randomly, or like do they have to be like attached to a ceiling somewhere and then you run underneath them and they fall? Maybe. Or they're attached to the ceiling and they move back and forth on the ceiling, and then if you go underneath them, they fall. And they'd be like in caves and stuff like that, basically. I don't know. Just spitballing at this stage. I'm an artist, you guys. You can tell. Look at this. Classic drawing. Oh, 2 different ones. Okay. And so you bait the player into not shooting them and dodging them, and they realize they have to take some of them out to get by? Yeah. I think I get what you're saying. Yeah, let's just play around with this and get like the logic working so that they can be attached to walls first. How about that? Like walls and ceilings and the ground and whatever. There, something like that. Yeah, it's too complicated for the moment. Yeah, okay, fair enough. But we can definitely revisit that kind of stuff, man, and just, I don't know. I'll take it all in strides. So, why don't we... I'm just going to make a little bit more details on this guy first before we start coloring him. I just had an idea. I had a thought. What if... I need to get better at drawing with this thing, but... something like that. yikes, that's ugly. You should use the selections to do some of the drawing for you. Yeah. If I knew how to actually use these tools properly, I'm sure like I could get these drawings done so much faster, but for now, this'll do. This will do. So let's make those bars between him and the box center part kind of like a dirty gray color, a dirty yellow color, I mean, like kind of something kind of yellowy gray like that, like metallic yellow. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. Probably should have just zoomed in from the start. That probably would have made things a little smoother, but oh, like the circle select, and then yeah, I see. And then you get like a perfect circle. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that would have been smart, but oh well. My goal is to become like a really good illustrator, so I want to like be able to draw all these things by hand. That'd be sweet. That's my ultimate dream. But right now, as you can tell, I'm a professional. I'm a professional artist. What did we make the eyes on the other bad guy look like? I just want to make the robots have similar eyes. Oh, I see. They're circular with like a little dot inside. Okay, so we can do something like that. Like, oh wait, that's the wrong layer. We want that layer. Something like that. That'll do. So now we need a color for his body, which I'm thinking would be cool to make sort of a something like this, a little more metallic. Not too metallic, but a little bit more. Something like this. You like primitives versus realism. Yeah, primitives. Neat, man, yeah. F bucket fills? Yeah, kinda. I find in GIMP, like, if you use the bucket fill... I'll show you what I'm gonna do here. I just have to outline it, and then I'll use the bucket fill. Outline all the bits, because if you do it otherwise, it'll get, like, this weird, like, pixelation edge. It doesn't, like, feather it nicely, so, yeah. Just outline the eyes. The mouth is gonna be fine. We'll just leave it as is, but the eyes... we'll outline, then we'll bucket fill. So, I'll show you what I'm saying. There. So see that little white edge? It leaves those white edge. It's the anti-aliasing of the strokes. Yeah, I guess so. Again, I don't know diddly squat about really drawing, and especially like using GIMP or Photoshop or whatever, but we're using GIMP because open source for the win. Maybe just give his eyes some kind of color. The white we'll leave, but the maybe just like a darker version of the purple. We can use that here. I think you can set the threshold, though. Oh, okay. I will do some more looking into this later and, like, figure out the proper way of doing this, but... no, let's keep it more red. Something kind of like this. This is the perfect way to do it. Simple. Thanks, man. It's definitely my method, but simplicity is my method for pretty much everything in life, but it's not always the most. I'm sure there's better ways, but just for now. One day I'll be a master of GIMP, and I'll know all these settings and tricks and whatnot, but for today, this works. Oops. Just gonna clean that little blurb up. And the other thing we got to remember too is that this is going to be scaled down by like 70 to 90%. So I mean, right now all these details that we're looking at that look real ugly aren't going to be as bad. You want a t-shirt of this drawing? And Fubar says, I do not want to meet this monster. That's hilarious, you guys. Yeah, no, he's not very friendly looking, that's for sure. You want a t-shirt of this monster, though? That's funny. Who knows, maybe we'll open a merch store. My shitty drawings on t-shirts. Lol. Okie dokie. You never saw Beavis and Butthead? Oh, no, I did not. Was that a reference from Beavis and Butthead? Because I totally missed it if it was. My B. And I'm thinking like a brighter yellow for the outside. Something like that, sure. The good cartoons are always bad drawings, or Adventure Time, super simple artwork. That's true. I love the art style in Adventure Time. I'm a big fan of that. You're right, though. That's true, isn't it? All the good stuff does always have kind of like the simplest, I'll say simplest artwork. It's all about that simplicity, you know? And hang in there, and in about T minus, I don't know, let's say 10 more of these spikes, and we're going to be coding this bad boy. All right. Okay, last spike. Whew. We made it. Beautiful. So it's probably going to be scaled down to about maybe that. Yeah, probably that, something like that size. But I mean, you know, it's ugly, but it works for now. This is our minimum viable product version of the game, the MVP. So there's a good chance that later on in the future we're gonna go through and like make the graphics way better and like all this stuff. So we'll save that. Drawings. Let's say baddie 2. I don't know. And then now let's export them properly so that we can use them in the game. So let's just merge these layers down and copy this guy. Or actually, you know what we can do? We can go like this. Alpha to selection. Boom, go like that. And Control Shift V, and that'll drop him into a nice canvas that's perfectly sized. Although we forgot to put color in his eyes, so I'll just do that in here really quick. Let's go zoom in. Give his eyes a little bit of color. Cool, that'll do. And we'll go File, Export As, baddie2.png, put it in our games, no place like, source, assets, images, sprites, create a new one, we'll call this guy, let's call him Rotator, I don't know, Rotator baddie, I guess. Rotator baddie, and we'll call him, yeah, sure, baddie 2, whatever. Alright, so now that that's done, we can import that guy in our preloader scene. We'll go like this. Preloader scene, and we'll say that's where we're loading the multi-atlas, which he is not. He's just a straight up image. So copy that line and say what do we want to call him? Rotator baddie or enemy. Rotator enemy. Sprites slash. See where that guy's living. I know we just saved him, but my memory is pretty poor, so slash rotator baddie slash baddie2.png. Alright, so that's loading him into the memory. Now, once we've got him loaded in, we need to make a new class for him. So, in our NPC bad guys directory, we'll head on over and we'll say new file. We'll call this one rotator bot.js. So we've got a jumper bot and we've got a rotator bot. Let's open up jumper bot, use it as an example while we create our rotator bot class. So we'll say import enemy, our generic enemy class, from base/enemy. Then we'll say class rotator bot extends enemy, just like our jumper bot. Our constructor and everything else is going to be a little different, but that's okay. Figure all this out. config, config, there we go. And we'll super our existing config, pass that down into our enemy class. So config. Wow, it'd be really great if I could spell config. Wow. But our texture is going to be different. This time, our texture is going to be, what do we call it again? Rotator. I shouldn't have closed the preloader, but preloader. Rotator enemy. That's what we call them. Just copy that so I don't spell it wrong. Boom, rotator enemy. And his max HP, I think, should just be 1, because it's going to take 1 shot to kill this guy, but he's going to make a big explosion when he dies. Maybe. We'll see. Step 1 is just getting him to stick to the walls and the ceiling and whatnot. That's the first step. And then we'll deal with the explosion later. I'm thinking it'd be really cool if we make like a particle explosion. That would look stellar. Anyways. So we'll configure his speed, same way we did with our other guy. We'll say this dot max speed, or no, he's not going to have a max speed. He'll just have a constant speed. So we'll just say speed equals like something really slow. So like, let's just say like 25. And he's not going to jump, so he doesn't need a jump height. We are going to need to scale him properly. Physics stuff. So this dot body, or this dot set scale, probably 0.1 as well. Like, let's say 0.15 to start, but I bet you it's going to need to be 1. And for now, that's all we're going to do. And we're going to go head over to our Africa camp scene, or level, excuse me. And we're going to instantiate a new, let's just create 1 for now. We'll just say rotator bot equals new. We gotta actually import him first, so we'll say import rotator bot from same location / sprites / npc / bad / rotator bot. So once we've got him imported, we can now instantiate him by going new rotator bot, pass in our configuration, same as before. So the scene, as always, we're going to have to pass in. So scene is this. The X position, we'll just say, why don't we just set the X position to be like 100 for now. And the Y position, I'm thinking instead of setting it to 0, we'll set it a little further down so that he ends up in the inside the cave. And each tile in this game is 100 by 100, so the width of the height of this is going to be 200. So 200 plus how? Yeah, let's just guess for now. Let's just say 1,000 for his Y. And we need to give him a key as well, so we'll call him rotator baddie 1. Now that we've got him instantiated, we need to do something with him. And that something is simply just going to be pushing him into the baddies array. Rotator bot, just like that. I'm hoping that's not going to cause any huge explosions. Well, yet. We want huge explosions, but we want those a little further down the line. Uh-oh. What's this? We've got a webpack error, which means something isn't compiling properly. Oh, because we're not exporting default. My bad. Export default rotator bot. That should solve that. And let's see if we've got a new robot anywhere. Oh, you know what? he won't be anywhere just yet because he will be falling right through the map because there's no... Oh, no, actually, I think in our level class we should be creating a hit test between... this is interesting. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, right here, we're adding a collider between our enemy's physics group and the solid layer, so in theory he should actually be appearing. Why don't we instantiate him at 0 or 100, 100, just so we can hopefully see him when we spawn. Yep, there he is. Oh, there he is. Neato. Ah, that's weird. Again, though, we have to specify his width and height like before. I really don't know why we have to do that, because it normally figures that stuff out on its own. Also, Fubar says, I know Visual Code Studio Code, but I spend too much time changing syntax and JavaScript color for Sublime Text 3. That's funny, man. You're too invested in Sublime at this point. You need to keep using Sublime. That's funny. I feel that. Well, Sublime's a great editor as well. It's fantastic. Visual Studio Code, like, totally jacked a bunch of features from Sublime, so, I mean, it's all good. So, X and Y of 100 by 100 works. However, we need, in our rotator bot, the same way we did in our jumper bot, right here, we need to set the body size for some unknown reason, which is very strange to me because I still don't understand why this is the case, but apparently we have to. So let's figure out the size, and this is the size before we apply the scaling. So I need to find the original size of that image we just created. So let's do that. And sprites, rotator baddie, and this one. Let's see, properties, 593 by 560. 593, 560. So that should fix his bounding box. Yep, looks like that's correct now. Perfect. So now we get to start coding the actual specific logic for this new enemy. Ha! Except that we can kill him right away because we've set his HP to 0, or 1 rather, and it only takes 1 shot to kill him. But when we kill him, eventually he's going to make a big explosion and just you know, mess shiznit up. So, now in our rotator bot, this is where all the magic is going to happen. We need to give him an update function. So we'll say update. And for now, let's just make him so that he rotates and moves to the right. Just keep it simple for now. So if this dot body dot blocked dot down, so if he's touching the ground, we'll say this dot set velocity x to be this dot speed, which is his very slow speed, and we'll also say this dot we'll say let's say, actually I'm just gonna console hit log our sprite because I don't remember what the property for the rotation is and I just need to figure that out. So when he touches the ground, he should... Nope. Maybe this dot body dot set velocity x, I think. There we go. So he's moving slowly towards us, but it's pretty easy to kill, so no big deal. Alright, so... What is it? It would just be rotation, wouldn't it? Yeah, rotation. Oh, but it's probably got a getter function, so let's use that. Which is going to come from sprite. And get. Maybe it's from game object. Let's go even deeper. Oh, event emitter. What? What am I looking at? This must be the wrong thing. Proto enemy, proto sprite. Oh, here we go. Yeah, get. Get rotation. So yeah, it's just get rotation. So we'll say const rotation equals get this dot get rotation. Console log that. Just confirm this works. Oh, get rotation is not a function. Problem. Body.getRotation. Let's try that. Rotator rolls and spits fire. Oh, damn. Body.getRotation isn't a function either. That's annoying. Weird. I'm kind of confused as to why get rotation isn't a function. That's odd. That's not going to show us anything different. Let's take a look at that sprite again. Rotator rolls and spits fire. Yeah, that'd be sweet. I'm thinking he's good for just like a little he's just a little rotating bomb that'll move around, and if he touches anything, he just blows up and all hell breaks loose. There we go, prototype game object. Set rotation. Oh, right, there probably isn't a getter actually. We just have to say dot rotation, okay. So we can just go like this. We'll say const rotation equals this. We'll use the ES6 destructuring for that. Now let's just rotate, let's log out our rotation, make sure we've actually got it. Also, I'm curious to see what units it's in, although it's probably just going to be 0, so it won't tell us really. Yeah, it's 0. Anyways, whatever. The point is it's working. So we'll say, let's just say this dot set rotation, and we'll say rotation plus this dot speed. So that should have him rolling. I'm just curious. Oh, he's rolling the wrong way, so we need to say minus, but that is pretty fast, so why don't we say, for starters, we'll say minus, and we'll say half his speed instead of the full speed, because that's a little too fast. Yeah, it's alright. Neat. So I think next step for him is to get him climbing up walls, because see right now he's stuck, but the minute he hits a wall on the left or right side, we want him to climb up it, because he can stick into them, you know? And actually, I think we're going to reduce the size of his bounding box by like, well, we'll deal with that later. For now, let's just get that wall climbing action working. And actually, this wall climbing logic is going to be really useful for us later, because I plan on having a wall run system for our characters, our main characters, so that they can run up a wall and jump off it later, because that's always sweet. Like, when is that ever not fun? Alright, so if the body is blocked down, we do that. Otherwise, else if this dot body dot blocked, let's start with right, because that's what he's going to hit first. Right. We'll say this dot can we temporarily set the gravity to not set it so that gravity doesn't affect him? I wonder. It's console.log this again. And this is also going to tell us if the blocked condition is working. So, whoa. We have an error, apparently, a syntax error. Where? What? Oh, else. Yeah. Okay. So let him do his thing, roll on over here. And, oh, blocked isn't working. That's funny. Oh, because we're using an else if. Actually, we, in this case, would want another if. Because it's not gonna, the first condition isn't gonna be true, but the second condition isn't true right now, but it will be true when he touches that wall. But while he's just rolling, yeah, there we go. Cool, so let's just take a look, and I want to see if there's a way to set his gravity to be 0, or make it just so gravity affects him not at all, temporarily. Which is probably going to live deep down in the game object class. So... set... I'm not even really sure what we're looking for here. Set... pipeline, I have no idea what that does. Set blend, no. Okay, let's resort to Google here. Phaser 3, let's say disable gravity on sprite. How to change gravity, that sounds promising, and apparently I've looked at it before. Oh, there we go. Body.set allow gravity false. Wonderful. That's exactly what we want. Set. Yeah, whatever. It's in there somewhere. Set allow gravity. So that's what we're looking for. So if he's touching the right wall, we'll say this dot set allow, or this dot body set allow gravity false. So while he's climbing up the wall, we're going to turn off gravity so that he doesn't fall, like he's not fighting with gravity to climb up the wall. And we'll say this dot body dot set velocity y, or whoops, set velocity y to be negative speed, because up is down, and it all makes sense in somewhere at some point in time. It all made sense. But yeah, up is down. So set velocity to negative speed, and I guess the rotation logic we're going to want regardless of whether he's touching a wall or not. This is also going to make it so he keeps rotating even when he's falling, which is a good thing, I think, for our case. So let's try that out and see if he climbs up the wall and starts coming at us. Alright, here he comes. Here we go. Is he going to climb this wall? We will see. Oh, look at that. He climbs the wall. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, and he keeps climbing forever. That's kind of a problem. Don't worry, I'll put him out of his misery. Poof. But he keeps climbing anyways. Well, that's annoying, but... that's actually really annoying. Why is he still climbing if he's dead? Yeah, whatever. Gonna have to debug that more later, but for now, it's working. So, yeah, that's funny though. So why is it still... Let's take a look at if he's being blocked, because I thought the minute he got to the top, he would move over and he wouldn't be blocked anymore on the right side. So that was my theory, but apparently I'm wrong. Been wrong before. Okay, let's see. Oh, it's false. Heh. Oh, weird. Okay. So it's only true once that he's blocked from the right, which is odd. Oh, I see why. Okay, so at the moment he's only moving to the right when he's blocked, when he's touching the ground. But the minute he's not touching the ground, he's not moving to the right anymore. So he isn't being blocked anymore because he's not pushing into the wall. But we need him to be always moving to the right so that he's always pushing into the wall and he's always blocked by it. And then, yes. And also we need an else statement here. So we can say if he's not blocked to the right, turn gravity back on and set his y velocity to be nothing. Or actually we don't need to reset his y velocity, but we do need to set that to true. So gravity will take care of his y velocity for us. Hopefully. Oh. Although that was funny. He was moving to the right even when he was falling initially, which is not exactly ideal. But whatever, let's see if he climbs up the wall. Dun, 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 dun. And there it is. Climbs up the wall. Now he's coming at us. Oh my god. Boosh. Goodbye. Alright. Well, that's cool. We've got him climbing up right walls. Why don't we change this to say if he's blocked from the right, or this dot body dot blocked. Well, actually, I'm going to make our lives a little bit easier here, and I'm going to say const blocked equals this dot body. And then we can just say blocked right or blocked left. Right, so it is also past midnight now, so this is traditionally when I end these streams, but I'm going to try and just get a little bit more of this guy's logic working first, because this will be cool. Nice. Boosh. Alright. So, let's try initializing him a little further to the right and testing out if he can climb up a left wall as well, a wall on the left side of him. So he should now climb up this wall. He is spinning the wrong way, but the point is he's climbing up the wall and it seems to be working, so good. Alright, cool. So let's, yeah, what do we want to do next? I guess the first thing to do would be to so maybe when he hits the ground for the first time, he'll decide on a direction to go in. So he'll say if blocked dot down, or if he's touching the roof of something, so if blocked dot up, or just trying to think of how this should work. They didn't really premeditate any of this, so I don't really know what we're doing here. We're just kind of making this on the fly. So if he's blocked up or down, we'll say this dot set or this dot speed equals math.random greater than 0.5, or let's say greater than or equal to 0.5 question mark. Let's say, so if it's greater than 0.5, it'll be negative speed. or it'll just be positive speed. So that should randomize the direction that he's traveling in every time he is blocked up or... Well, hold on. This is probably just going to be constantly randomizing his direction, so he's probably just going to sit there and kind of tweak out. I mean, let's try it, but I think that's probably what's going to happen here. So he's not moving. Yeah, there it is. He's kind of just twitching. He's twitching on Twitch. Get it? Boom. Put him out of his misery. So that's not going to work. Let's see. Maybe the direction should just be something that we decide on when we initialize him instead of randomizing it. Because I think that would be useful for us when we're positioning them on the map later on, when we're actually creating maps and whatnot. So, yeah, so why don't we just say, we'll leave that for now. And set the speed to -25. I guess that's what I could have done in the first place to test that. And now he's actually rotating the correct direction as well. Oop, but he's not moving when he hits the ground. Oh, and that's because we... So, yeah. Oh, I think... Hang on, let's just do something really quick. Let's console log blocked. Because I think there's a property in blocks called any, or like blocked... None. Okay, blocked none is true. So if blocked none is false, so let's do it like this. If blocked dot none is false, oopsies, false. So if not blocked none, if blocked none is false, then we'll say this dot set velocity x to this dot speed. So that way, when he's touching any wall, his speed is going to be being set. Uh-oh, apparently not. Oh, right, because it's this dot body dot set velocity x. All right, try again. There we go. So now he's moving to the left, and when he hits that wall, he should move up it and keep moving to the left. Oh, no, he's not moving up it. Funny. Okay, so what's going on? So he's still blocked on the bottom because he's still moving, because if he wasn't blocked at all, he would stop moving. But now this isn't working, or this condition isn't being entered anyways, the right and left blocked. You know what? I have a theory. I've got a plan. I'm a man with a plan. So, okay. If blocked right or blocked left, okay, and blocked dot down, stay with me, got a better idea here. How about we do an x speed and a y speed? Speed is that, and we'll say this dot x vel, x velocity, equals 0. This dot y vel, y velocity, equals 0. Not -0, equals 0. And we're actually going to turf this, because I think we can come up with a better way of doing this here. So we'll say this dot x vel for the rotation. X vel? Yeah, I think so. Sure, we'll just try it. And we'll say, okay, so first things first, we'll say if blocked dot down. So if he's touching the ground, else if blocked dot up, or if he's touching the roof. So if he's touching the ground, we're going to say this dot xvel equals this dot speed. So we set the x velocity to the speed. Same thing if he's touching the roof, actually. Okay, so maybe this isn't the place for this, but for now we'll just put it here. Equals this, oopsies, equals this dot speed. Ah, right. Okay, this is why I was doing it this way. Okay, here we go. So if block dot down and if blocked dot left, we'll set we are going to need to set it here, or we're going to need to initialize it to something. That's the point here. So if we'll just initialize it to, let's just say this dot speed. So we initialize the x velocity to the speed, and then we say if it's blocked to the left, so if he's crashing into the left wall, we set the, so if he's touching the ground and he's crashing into a left wall, we set the... Oh man, I'm confusing myself now. Hang on. Shoot. So if he's touching down and left, we want his his y velocity equals negative this dot speed, and this dot x velocity equals also negative this dot speed. Right, so then if he's touching the right wall, it's going to be a little different. It's going to say else if blocked dot right. It's basically going to be the inverse of what we're doing right here. Right, with me so far. So we'll say this dot speed, this dot, whoopsies. Man vs. Keyboard 2019. Okay, so we'll set, oh sorry, but the y velocity actually has to stay negative. The x velocity though, we want it to be positive. And then we'll handle the blocked logic in a minute here. For now, it's just going to do diddly squat. But we'll say down here, where we're setting the rotation, we'll also set the x velocity and the y velocity. So set velocity x to this dot x vel. And we'll say this dot set velocity y to this dot y vel. Right. Okay. In my mind, this makes sense. Let's see if Phaser agrees with me. Or, okay, nope. Oh, right. That's just a, we've had this error a million times now. Body dot set velocities. Body dot set velocity. Okay, try that again. Okay, he flies up now. That's not quite right. Funny, so how did it enter this condition if he's... Oh, you know what? Ah, I see. Right, because we're dealing... So we're just constantly setting the y velocity to 0, so he's just not falling. He's just stationary, stuck in place. Okay, so what we need to do here is say if this dot x vel greater than 0, or just actually does not equal 0, which in our case it never will, but just for a good safety net. If it doesn't equal 0, then set it. If this dot y vel does not equal 0, set it, and forget it. Except it would be good to have if on the start of that. There we go, so now he's falling, although his x velocity is still being set, but that's fine, we'll deal with that in a minute. Let's see if he climbs up this wall. Oh, he bounces off it, funny. Although, yeah, that's almost logic that would work for a bad guy. I bet he'll bounce off that one too. Yeah, that's funny. That's logic that could work, but nah, that's not what we want for this. So if block.down and blocked dot left. So let's see. Now that should be setting his y velocity, which this should then funny. I would expect that to set his y velocity. Oh, but you know what? He's probably fighting with gravity, so we need to say shoot, no, that's not right. Or maybe let's say body dot set allow gravity false. So that should disable gravity when we have a simulated y velocity or whatever we're calling it. So let's see if he climbs. Ah, he still bounces. What the hell? And he falls really funny too, but anyways. Let's see. You know what, you guys, I hate to disappoint, but it is now 22 minutes past midnight for me, and I sort of kind of need to go to bed, and we did already accomplish quite a lot in this live stream. So I'm thinking I might have to wrap this one up for now, but we'll return to creating a new type of bad guy on Monday at 9:30 Pacific Standard Time. If you want to join us then, 9:30 p.m. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. Oh, Crazy Wheelie says, what did you use to create the animations for this game? So like animations as in like his run animation and stuff like that, I assume you're talking about. I used this handy program right here. Well, I drew it in GIMP, and then I used this program here, Synfig Studio, to wire up all the armature and the bones, and then animate him. So if we take a look at him here, we could say like move, so his right arm, for example, because we've wired it up to armature, we can go like this and say like, yeah, whatever. Yes, go away. Do stuff like this. This is the program I used for it, is Synfig. It's a it's a free program. It's open source. It's it crashes sometimes. It's a little buggy, but it works for the most part really well, and I like it a lot. So yeah, hope that answers your question. That's what I use to animate this bad boy. And yeah. Anyways, you guys, thanks for joining me on this stream. It was a journey. We got a lot done, and I'm really looking forward to Monday's stream, where we're going to pick this up and continue on with our creation of a second enemy class. And yeah, have a good night, and I'll see you guys then if you want to tune in. I hope you do. See you later.